road trip. There we go. The giant koala. So that's Dazzle's Bridge, home of the giant koala. So, another weekend, another drive, country Victoria, just passing the Grampians. Had a few Ks in the Grampians on the bike over the years. So, Von, how have you pulled up after your 230 kilometre ride around the bay?
Around the bay. Pretty good. I was a bit tired the first day off the bike. I think you spoke to me the day after anyway.
Yeah, we did.
We're now a few days later, and one of my niggling issues has reoccurred. I've had a bit of a tight calf on one side, so that's had a bit of work done on that. A little bit of sore shoulders from pushing into that wind for such a long time.
Yeah, so no matter your bike fit, I guess,
yeah,
you're going to get sore if you're actually holding the bike uncomfortably and tightening up into that wind, or even just getting bucketed around. It's just not a standard thing to happen, I guess, on every ride. But okay, so you got what you mean? You had your worked on. You went to a masseur. You went to a
go to osteopath.
Osteopath, right?
Yeah, based up in near home, so that was handy. And apart from that, yeah, I've been sleeping really well. Felt pretty hydrated afterwards. In other times where I've done big days, I felt really starving. So I think in the days afterwards, so I think I've eaten really well. And
so you
recovered.
refueled.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've got to say, I'm super proud of what you've done. I knew you could do it. You're a fighter. But what I'm also really happy with is the response you've had online on the channel. So everyone who's watched and commented, my viewership is only 3.7% women. I look at the analytics a lot, so I know who's watching. So the viewership of women is very small, but what you've got though, the feedback we got from most of the viewers, which are guys, was always positive. I love that. That is such a good thing. So
it's for the encouragement.
Faith restored.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, faith restored in internet comments. A lot of them, I mean, everyone knows they can be good and bad. There's a lot of really, really good input, but they came out really well. So I'm super proud of everyone who was watching and everyone who's commented as well. So that's been really good. And I guess it encourages me to share more of what we're doing, if it's relevant to the channel and cycling and Australia and things like that. The reason why people subscribe or watch the videos. And it encourages, I guess, Von, does it encourage you to go out and ride more? Or, just to see people are watching and people are encouraged by you doing certain things like that.
Well, this is just another medium for ways that I share what I do anyway. So I am actively involved in women's cycling here in Australia. I participate in the events, I participate in my clubs, I participate in event forming as well, and people want to know the opinion of someone that's participated in events over the last 5-6 years running, how they can improve and get better and have a better experience for riders to keep coming back. So that's one of the things where there are events that run each year. How do you entice people to keep coming back? Yeah.
Right, and all while juggling a full-time job and a full-time Lama.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all. So, all good. So from that, you did a 200k ride the weekend before, you did a 200k plus ride this week just gone. It's non-stop for you. What's up next? I think you've got another goal, but more of a hillier goal?
Well, there's 2 goals.
2? Okay, I know one.
Which one are you thinking of? So my next goal is the Rapha Prestige in Margaret River.
Yeah, okay,
so
cool. Yeah,
that one is at the end of this month. It's actually only 2 weeks away, so I really need to get a bit organised and verify my accommodation and the route and planning for nutrition for that, because there's going to be 4 ladies competing with me on this Rapha Prestige.
Competing? It's not a sanctioned race. It's not a Cycling Australia. Sorry, coming from a racing. It's an event or a fondo.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Just to clarify what it actually is.
The competition in my mind is about finishing it within the parameters that have been set by the organizer.
Yep.
Because we need to finish. For me, I would find success for us to finish within the whole handicap system of the group.
Okay.
So not the last riders, not the first riders back, but I want to be in there.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I just needed to clarify because I wasn't quite sure.
No, it's not a competition.
I'm not into the Rapha scene thing, the events that they run and things like that. But okay, look, anything that gets people on bikes though.
Yeah, so this is a good one.
Is a good one. Yep.
Each team that needs to enter must have at least one woman as part of their group of 4 that completes the route. So that helps with the handicapping and the camaraderie of the groups that participate.
Yeah, so it's not too serious. You're not going to have Team Wigo come over and rip it apart.
No.
Yeah, okay.
And the good thing is, like, I'm not the only all-women team that's entered as well. I know there's another group from Melbourne that's entered. That's they're all ladies from Melbourne that are flying over to Perth to have that whole adventure experience, which I think is one of the things that draws me to doing these kind of events. And when I did the one up in Brisbane earlier this year, we were the first team to enter all women as an all women team for that event.
Okay, so that's up in 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm heading over as well, so I'll pull the camera along.
Yeah, cool.
For probably more than 20 k's at the end, like I did the other day. That was quite lazy. I'll admit that. Cops up.
You need to enter.
Cops back. Sorry, I'm driving at the same time. Yeah, look, we'll see what happens. I just want to get over to Perth and do river loops. If you're in Perth, you know what river loops are. Down along Shelley,
River loops
down through the city, sun's shining, dolphins swimming. No, there actually is dolphins. I think one of them died. Well, I didn't do it. I fed it in gels. I didn't know they didn't like caffeinated. No, kidding. Didn't feed the dolphin.
I was running with one of the ladies this morning who works for Cycling Australia, and she was saying that she was heading over to Perth for work, and she was asking me whether or not she should take her bike.
Oh, yes.
And I said, really? If you're going to go over for more than a day, definitely, because obviously there's an overhead of packing and unpacking a bike and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I said definitely river loops all the way.
Sure. Shout out to South Perth Rolliers.
Yeah.
They're the group who are super organised, multiple groups, multiple meeting points, different rides each week. They're published on their Facebook page. I'll link them below if I remember. Hit me up if I don't. Fantastic group of people though. So hit those up.
So welcoming.
And look, online again, because online is a bit skewed of reality. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you ask the people in Perth what it's like cycling in Perth, a lot of them will say, oh, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But again, if you're courteous in traffic and you hide away and you can find certain routes, when we were over there last year for 4 months, I found a route that I nearly did daily, that you scoot between certain roads, not between traffic, but you're away from the traffic. It's brilliant over there. I don't think I had one single encounter, I was lucky, of a driver showing any aggro. But again, it's about, and as I've said in previous videos, about being courteous in both directions. Give a wave. If they give you an inch, give them a metre back and give a wave, and things like that. So I had a good time over there. So Perth for me was a great experience. It has been a good experience on the bike. Bike paths for days.
Yeah.
Literally for days. And really boring ones. And as a time trialist, there's nothing more that I like than a boring bike path.
So good. Especially when the wind's in your direction.
Yeah. When it's in your direction, when it's not in your direction. Oh man, that's.
Then we've got what happened on Sunday.
Yeah. So Perth's really good. Okay, that's one event you're up and coming to do. Is that the word?
Yes.
Coming up to do. Is coming up.
Coming up. Yeah.
Next one. The hillier one.
The hillier one. So that's start of December. Start of December. I am looking to register for Le Tour. So concept is it's over 100 kilometres. There's 2 distances to do. There's like one that's 130, one that's 160, roundabouts. I can't remember.
So
the exact
by
distances.
over 100 kilometres, you mean it's not over 100 kilometres exactly? It's over as in past 100 kilometres over.
Yeah.
Yes.
In distance. And then for each one of those, there's thousands of metres of vertical, depending on which one you do.
Sure.
So then they've got a race version and a ride version. So you don't get mixed up and, hassled by races as well.
I've been watching this, and I've been watching them on social media, and hello if they're watching. I've got a problem. Not a problem, but I'm like, look, I'll nitpick for a little bit for Le Tour. They're selling it as a Tour de France event in Australia. There's a yellow jersey up for grabs if you cross the line first. There's a sprint point grab. There's polka dot jerseys, and they're selling it as if it's a Tour de France event. Now, the target audience, I'm guessing, is probably the same as my channel. Now, it's your 25 to 45-year-old male, hobbyist cyclist, probably professional in whatever field they're in, employed full-time, family, etc., etc. So, you know, your average guy, and also the women's side of things, but I'm speaking particularly about my channel. There's not a lot of women, so ladies, hit subscribe so the numbers go up. So we're being sold that this is a part of Tour de France. It's anything but Tour de France. I'm sorry. Sure, I'm all for the ASO running events outside France.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm all for them saying it's got Chris Froome coming along, a participant and a winner of the Tour de France. Fine, sure. But when they call it that's sort of selling the marketing at a primary school level, at such a low level. It's not, people aren't going to do it because it's a piece of France. It's Australia, and we love that about it. It's not the event. It's 6 months away from the Tour de France. It's not a stage race. You're not part of a team. You're spending $350 to enter the thing.
It's very expensive.
It's got. So my nitpick, I guess, in a nutshell, is don't call it anything to do with Tour de France. Call it, run by the ASO, have Chris Froome there, but presenting a yellow jersey, like, what a gimmick. Come on, guys. I think we need to smarten up the marketing, or smarten up. I mean, everyone's going to do these events anyway. Cadell's Road Racing. Cadell's Road Race doesn't call itself the Volta de España, the Tour de... Cadell, it doesn't need to. It stands alone quite successfully. Amy's Grand Fondo.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Nice rant.
Thank you. I got more.
But I think the concept that they're trying to sell is this is what a typical stage
of
Tour
okay,
de France
yep.
is like. So you can experience what that feels like. Now, I see your point about awarding jerseys for that kind of thing is a little bit of a stretch. So I'm interested in seeing what a stage of Tour de France is. Now, I've ridden Alpe d'Huez. I've ridden Mont Ventoux.
Okay, Chris.
I know what a stage.
Okay, we go.
Oh, wow, Green Lake.
Oh, a lot of water up here too. Where were we last week? Beechworth. Still country Victoria, but Flip Victoria on the flip side, where that's where we are now, and there's a ton of water on this side as well.
Yeah.
So you've ridden those hills, and you know what it's like to do a stage. The effort required.
So,
okay, good point. Very good point.
But I have not ridden the Blue Mountains in Australia.
I haven't either.
I've ridden the Victorian Alps. I've not ridden the New South Wales outside. I haven't been to the ski fields there. I'd love to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get to Europe this year, unlike other people. I would like to get my little Alps.
Hey, that was work.
Yeah.
Come
on.
All good. Okay, cool. So that's a wrap up of your 200k ride, and it's, I guess, money in the bank of training.
I hope so.
And also knowing, also with your calf as well. So for training for the next 2 weeks or so, I'd be keeping an eye on that calf to make sure it's not a bike fit issue or anything like that. Just to.
Yeah, I know what caused it. I was moving some furniture.
Right. Okay. Let's not move any furniture in the next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
But also just see how you go on the bike, and if there's any changes we need to make, we know who to call.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's tons of bike fitters, and we can do tons of stuff on bike fitting.
So, in order to get ready for this style event, Margaret River will be great because I'll have lots of Ks, but I need to get some vert now. So I've been doing volume, I need some vert. That's my thought process around the type of riding I need to be undertaking for an event like this.
Now, in Melbourne, you can go out to the Dandenongs, probably within an hour's ride, hour and a half's ride, or King Lake. There's no long stretch of road going uphill. Here's where I'll come in with a hard sell. Indoors. Tour of Bright. I've done Tour of Bright, which is on the same weekend as L'Etape, actually, which is the amateur Tour de France, I guess you call it in Victoria, maybe Australia. It's a 3-stage race. We climb Mount Hotham. Last stage is 30 kilometres of climbing. It's a fair climb. Comparing Hotham to Gavia and Stelvio, absolutely, it's definitely up there. No question about it. Which is kind of cool to have that in our backyard, 4 hours away. What I'm getting to is there's nowhere in Melbourne to train for that. What I did in my 2 lead-ups to the Tour of Brights that I've won, in the Masters 1, 2, 3 category, and a few years later in the Masters A category, I did all my training for hills indoors. There was a lot of short stuff, but the longer sustained hills where it's pretty much 4 to 5% and you just got to bang out in that zone, that was all indoors.
That climbing zone?
Yep, I did. Yep.
A lot of people would say, how do you simulate a hill indoors? Because you've got a different position on the bike, you want to be in and out of the saddle, you want to be able to get used to that balance factor. How is that relevant to indoors?
Good question. You're asking the hard questions, but that's a good one. Indoors will get you fit.
Yeah. Outdoors
gets you the skill sets required to use that fitness. So I was outside riding all the time anyway.
Okay.
And so Eltham has rolling hills, so it's not as if I wasn't in that position outdoors and stretching and doing, but you need time in that zone. You need to spend time in that zone when you'll be climbing. And at the end of the day, if it's an hour in that zone every, say 3 times a week, even if you're static on the bike, you can still get out of the saddle indoors. You can still stretch and change your position. I did angle the bike up a little bit to simulate, the saddle being a little further back. Just your bike changes just a little bit.
Okay.
And then outside is the execution of that.
So 2 phone books.
Someone pulled up the other day, and it's been mentioned a few times. I use phone books under the front wheel indoors because because I always have. They're free. They get replenished every 6 months, so if they wear out or you sweat on them, you get new ones. And they're ultimately adjustable by any means, which is brilliant. 0.1 of a millimeter. So yeah, phone book's height. But as long as, because the bike does change and the cadence changes as well, so make sure you're training in the zone. If you're riding up a hill at 80 RPM, then don't sit on indoors training at 90 RPM to 100 RPM. That's right.
They're all on the other end of the phone going, "Hey, Veronica!" Not in an American accent, I don't know why. The question I have is, are you going to join me at L'Etape du Tour?
I'll put it to a vote. If anyone's actually watched this far into another live Lama and Von, comment below. Should I enter? Should I do it? Should I take the camera along?
That's a difficult poll. So yes, no.
Maybe. So we've just put up in Horsham at the bike store. The Giant bike I bought the other day to build up is missing some cables because it was Di2 and now I'm going mechanical. So I had a look in Melbourne at one of the Giant stores there. They couldn't help me. That's another story in itself. Just going to drop into the Horsham Giant store here and see if they've got the little plugs. Now I've got the S-Works with me this weekend. And see what they got. Back in a sec. Okay, so we just jumped into Horsham Cyclery, who are a Giant dealer. Still working out this car. They have exactly what I'm after. So I am super happy. He knew exactly what I was after, knew exactly the cable kit. They've just moved stores temporarily, so he's got it in a box at another location. He's going to grab it for me tonight. We call in tomorrow morning, and we get the parts that I need. How good was that?
Perfect.
That is...
excellent service.
Yeah, how funny is that? I went to one of the biggest places in Melbourne to try and get that, but they couldn't really help me. And you drive 350 kilometres to the country, and someone's got exactly what I'm after. It's usually the opposite. In the country, you've got to go to Melbourne to get what you're after. But I was having a chat about the TCR frames, and they're a Giant dealer, but you can tell he loves his TCR frames. So, yeah, I'm keen to get mine built up. Talked to him about the few of the little niggles that I had during the building process, and he had a solution for every single one of them. That's good. So what for tomorrow?
Where are we going to ride? We've got options. What's the wind direction?
Yeah, wind direction. So it's pancake flat out here in actually in all directions it's pancake flat, but there are a few bumps here and there. Mount of Rapley's, if you're a rock climber, Mount of Rapley's is a world famous.
Yep.
I think it's sandstone. That's about 35 to 40 k's out the road, and then a couple of k climb, and the descent is terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. But the climb's good.
Because it's so rough. That's why it's terrible.
It's just sort of a little goat track of a climb. But it depends on the wind, because you don't want a 40 k's of headwind home.
Yeah, they do have a morning bunchy on Saturday morning at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Yeah, that rolls out.
I can't do 7 a.m.
And then there's the Grampians just down the road.
Yeah, Grampians we just drove past. Bit more of a hike though. But it's good. There's a lot of good riding. We do all our Rapha 500. Is it Christmas 500? Festy 500? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Festy 500. You clock up. Everyone probably knows this already, but you clock up 500 kilometres between Boxing Day and New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Or New Year's Eve.
One yet.
So tomorrow's ride, we'll sort it out tonight. We'll have a look at the wind temperature. Right now, 24 degrees. Sun's out for another 2 hours. Time for a roll?
Time to ride.
Let's ride. All right. Thanks for watching.